Hello, this is Brad Ralph. I am the representative for the 119th District in the Kansas House of Representatives. This district covers the majority of the city of Dodge City. Welcome to the first installment of Notes from the Capitol. This will be my effort at providing some timely and up-to-date comments on goings-on in the Capitol, reflecting my time in service during the session in 2017. I am hoping that this particular form of communication through these audio clips will allow me to provide you a more current and up-to-date status and comment on occurrences in the State House, and to be able to supplement written newsletters or columns that may appear in the newspaper from time to time. It seems as though sometimes written newsletters don't really serve the appropriate purpose of providing timely information as to what's going on at the State House for all constituents. So I'm hoping that this will be of some benefit. I'm hoping for some feedback from folks in Dodge City to see whether this, in fact, will serve a better purpose or supplement the newsletters that have been received in the past. Hopefully, as time goes on, I will get better at this process, and these recordings will provide a better source of information as I get better at the recording process. If you have suggestions or helpful hints, would certainly be more than open to receiving those. In the future, as we provide these clips, I will try to give you a little bit of an index at the beginning of the clip so that if you wish to skip to more pertinent parts of the audio recording, you'll be able to do that. I suspect that early on in this process, the clips may not be long enough to necessitate some type of an index, but we'll try to be cognizant of that and make sure that we don't waste people's times where it's unnecessary. We have just completed our first week of the session. Leading up to the beginning of the session on January 9th, been involved in a couple of months of orientations and retreats, forums and communications with other veteran and new legislators, but in all honesty, there really wasn't anything to quite prepare me for that first week of actual session. The first week has been invigorating, exciting, and extremely tiring. I can tell you that I have enjoyed every moment of it to this point. Let's start with some basic information. I am currently residing in offices located at 512 North. That's on the 5th floor of the State House. The office suites are in 512, and inside those suites are approximately 12 to 15 legislators. That is on the north corridor of the State House. I am sharing an office suite with Representative Adam Smith from Weston, Kansas. Adam is a rancher with a young family, and we seem to have a very comfortable rapport in the offices, and I'm looking forward to sharing this experience and sharing the offices with Representative Smith during this session. My office assistant is Kay Foster, and you can reach me in the State House most easily by email at the current time, as the State House seems to be having some difficulty getting the phone numbers set up with all of the new representatives and the veteran representatives having moved offices at the beginning of this session. As you might imagine, with nearly 50 new representatives and senators, this is a technological challenge, and the staff at the State House is doing a wonderful job, even though we still have a few hiccups left to iron out. During the 2017 session, I will be serving on 3 separate legislative committees. The first committee is Appropriations. Appropriations meets every morning at 9:30 and is normally going to be a session that lasts an hour to an hour and a half. Appropriations is charged with handling the state's overall budget. This week, the appropriations meetings have dealt mainly with reports from staff. Finished this week with a session of reports regarding the efficiency study that was prepared and considered in the last session. Of course, we expect to delve deeper into that particular study through the course of the session as we continue our deliberations in the Appropriations Committee. Most every day of the session, lunchtime is filled with meetings of several different caucuses, including the Republican Party caucus, a freshman caucus meeting, or various and sundry association meetings and presentations from constituents or professional associations. My afternoons are filled with 2 committee meetings that meet on an everyday basis. First at 1:30 is the Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development Committee meeting. Initial meetings this week have been taken up with reports from staff as well as a presentation from the Department of Labor. In the Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development Committee, we will be hearing issues related to a variety of subjects, including workers' compensation, unemployment compensation, and economic development. A variety of issues may come up. We've already had a couple of initial bills brought into the committee for future consideration related to issues in the field of workers' compensation as well as unemployment insurance. Our last session in that particular committee was presented by Mr. Jeremy Hill from Wichita State University, who provided us some information regarding his studies related to demographics and employment across the state with projections out over the next 50 years. I have heard Jeremy speak on at least 3 separate occasions, and the information that he provides is incredibly insightful and thought-provoking. My last committee meeting of each day will be in Judiciary. Judiciary Committee meets at 3:30 each day, and in this particular committee, we will handle all bills related to court proceedings. We are in charge of the judiciary budget and the judicial process. We also hear all bills related to amendments or new laws involved with the Code of Civil Procedure, the Code of Criminal Procedure, probate, and the like. Issues related to the judicial budget will be taken up during this committee. It has been pointed out to us in one of the early presentations that there have been no increases in judicial budget salaries during the last 6 years. It is interesting to note in the House we have 13 attorneys, licensed attorneys. I believe they said we have 11 of those attorneys sit on the Judiciary Committee along with several other members who are not legally licensed. But it is apparent already that the tenor and tone of debate and conversation in the Judiciary Committee will be lively and very much worth sitting in if you happen to be in Topeka on any particular day. In between any and all of those committee meetings, I will be attempting to keep up with constituent communications, responding to emails, and returning phone calls as quickly as possible. Communications and responding to questions will be a bit of a challenge, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to best handle that matter. I would suggest to you that the best and easiest way to communicate with me will be by email, such that I can then respond to you quickly by email or attempt to make a return phone call conversation if necessary. Reaching me on my cell phone is going to be extremely difficult considering the number of meetings and on-floor sessions that will be happening. These committee meetings will go on through the first many weeks of the session. Right now, each day in amongst those committee meetings, we are also on the floor of the House of Representatives at 11 o'clock each day. We have already been advised that we have had a number of first-in-history events during the course of this first week of the session. On Thursday, during our short time on the floor of the House, we have already passed legislation related to a fix involving the statutes related to elections and filling of congressional positions after a vacancy occurs that might necessitate a special election. Our current statute did not provide for a timely process, considering the fact that overseas ballots for our men and women in uniform need some minimum amount of time to get overseas and get returned. We are currently faced with a situation involving the seat for Mr. Mike Pompeo. Our local election statute needed a tweak in order to comply with federal election law, and that necessitated an emergency consideration of the statutory fix, which was accomplished on Thursday of the first week of our session. So the Elections Committee had introduction of a bill, worked the bill, had it brought to the floor of the House, debated, and passed all within the first week of the session. I am told by the veterans that that was in fact unprecedented and was hopefully an indication of the cooperation and consideration that the representatives will show each other during the course of this entire session. I have to admit that a smile crept across my face when I cast my first vote on Thursday on the floor of the House of Representatives. I wasn't quite ready for that little bit of feeling that went along with casting that first vote. Of course, the first week also involved being present in the House of Representatives to hear the governor's State of the State address on Tuesday evening. Most of you probably heard that address on your own, and it does not require much comment from me at the present time. I can tell you that the chamber of the House was somewhat subdued during the course of that State of the State address, but I can also tell you that there was a general feeling of optimism, I believe, amongst the representatives and the senators that, in fact, we had work to do and that folks were looking forward to doing that work. My overall sense of the demeanor within the chamber was that all of the representatives and the senators were in search of a feeling of leadership for the state. And I don't say that as in a pessimistic point of view, but actually very optimistic in terms of there was a positive energy that we are searching for that piece of leadership and an optimism that, in fact, that leadership is going to bubble to the front. We have a lot of issues to address, and there was nothing about the governor's address that gave me the feeling that anyone in the House or the Senate felt that we were not going to be able to address and deal with the challenges that are presented. I believe this particular time simply gives us the opportunity to have new and fresh leadership come to the front and demonstrate for the citizens of the state of Kansas that the challenges that face us are not insurmountable, and that in fact we will find our way onto a good path. There are no simple canned answers in this particular circumstance, but I do believe that we are aspiring to a better day in this state. As we go through committee meetings in the coming week, I will expect to give you additional information and some more specific impressions of the governor's budget plan and the responses of the legislature, and try to give you a better sense of what the temperature is within the legislature for many of the different proposals and suggestions contained within the governor's budget plan. I am confident that the discussions and debate within the legislature are going to be far-reaching and robust. So I would again please ask you to provide feedback. Let me know what we can do better and things that we can change, trying to go forward and make this audio clip of the most value and use to you and the best use of your time. We will work very hard to create a list of emails so that we can deliver this directly to you, or so that you can find it from a link on our Facebook page. I am hoping to be back in the district on many Fridays during the course of the session. So if you would like an opportunity to speak with me, please drop me an email. Let me know. I'll try to make as many contacts and communications as I can when I'm back during days that we are not in session. In terms of contact, I believe my information is out there in several locations. My cell phone number, if you wish to text me, is 620-338-1547. As soon as I have an actual office telephone there in the Capitol, I will make that available for folks. An email address where you can reach me would be BC Ralph, that's B as in boy, C as in Charles, Ralph, RALPH at swbell.net, or my office government email address is brad.ralph at house, house.ks.gov, G-O-V. If you wish to write to me or mail something, you can direct that to the state capitol in room 512 North, Topeka, Kansas. Anything mailed to my home address will be very difficult for me to get on a timely basis. So I would encourage you that if you have things to mail those to my address or my office address at the state capitol. I do some tweeting from the Capitol. Sometimes that is a little bit of a challenge. Some of the tweeting that I will do will not necessarily be as much commentary as it might be general information that is more timely in terms of topics that are being addressed in committee meetings or items that I just think might be of some interest to you to give some perspective on goings on at the Capitol. You can follow me at my Twitter feed that is at Brad Ralph KS. You can also find me at our Facebook page for Brad Ralph for Dodge City. That's also another way that you can get messages to me. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this inaugural session of Notes from the Capitol. I will get those additional topics out to you. If there are topics or things that you would like to hear me address in any of these notes, please also include those in any messages, and we will try to make this as useful to you as possible. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be of service to the community. I very much appreciate your confidence in having sent me to Topeka, and I will always be doing my best to serve you and represent your interests in the manner that you expect. Thank you very much, folks.